everything is about respect for everything everybody does. So we wouldn't make it without people doing payroll. We wouldn't make it without people doing billing. We definitely wouldn't make it without people doing the roofing. So all things are equal in how we treat each other and how we pay each other.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Beth Gloss, owner of United Materials. How you doing today, Beth?
Doing great, thank you.
Oh, well, thanks for spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and about United Materials.
Started in the roofing industry about 50 years ago and have been 45. It seems like 50. Was one of the first women involved in the roofing industry here in Denver. And we now have a predominantly woman majority in our office, but that hasn't been intentional, just how it's turned out. We are the second, we have a second generation in my family now of a woman that will be becoming management.
Excellent.
So.
And what led you to the roofing business 45 years ago?
I went in for an interview with my very first boss in roofing, and he offered me a job as a bookkeeper. The day I walked in to start that job, there was another woman sitting at the desk that I was supposed to be sitting at. He handed me a spec book, and it was a little bit longer day than that, but backstory is untold. That was how I learned. He gave me the names of a couple of his friends at suppliers who were willing to explain some things to me. And then I went out and worked with the crews for a couple months, learning things. Because when I started, I didn't know the difference between shingles and a flat roof or anything else.
So literally from the ground up, an accident. Somehow he hired another bookkeeper and
Yep.
Took pity on you and took you
Best
under his
friend.
wing. And 50 years later, the rest is history.
Mhm.
And I know the answer to this question, but people need to know, how long has United Materials been in business?
We're celebrating our 100th anniversary this year.
That is amazing. Congratulations. That is not an easy thing to do, to take a service industry job and bring it into the 21st century and thrive. So I congratulate you on that.
It is difficult. I would agree with you there. We're trying to save what's good about the old and move into the new millennium. And it's not always graceful, but it is always intentional.
Well, that's an important word, right? Are your clients mostly residential, or is this commercial as well?
Mostly commercial work.
Mostly commercial.
And public work.
And public works, municipalities, government offices, things like that. Aha.
Correct.
And what makes you stand out from your competition?
I think there are a couple differences. One is that when I bought into the company, my intention was that the field and the office would operate as a team. So we are not a separate group of people where, okay, the office people come in here and the field people need to stay out there. And everything is about respect for everything everybody does. So we wouldn't make it without people doing payroll. We wouldn't make it without people doing billing. We definitely wouldn't make it without people doing the roofing. So all things are equal in how we treat each other and how we pay each other and all of those things. And that kind of set a new standard here I think, in Denver for the way things are looked at. It's
I love,
certainly the comment we get from employees.
I love that. That's a culture it's important. It's not easy to do, to make sure that everyone in the team understands that every single component is as important as the next, but that's the way it works. And tell me about the longevity of your staff.
Um, Gosh, our guys out in the field, we have quite a few that are 30, 35 years out in the field. We have one employee that started 2 weeks before I did, and he is still here.
That's impressive.
And our vice president, who is now in the midst of retiring and does a lot of our repair work, this is the only job he's ever had since he came back from Vietnam.
Wow. Well, hey,
So
obviously the culture you have created and fostered is one that makes people want to do good work for you and stick around. That's beautiful.
the people that do stick around end up being family.
Oh, that's lovely. Tell me about, as we talk about roofing, things have changed in the last 50 years. Are you guys involved at all in the solar industry?
We dabbled a little bit in it and decided it just wasn't a good fit for us. Roofing technology changes often enough, and there's enough to be learned with that, working with our manufacturers, with our suppliers, with the types of materials. We will not put on a cheap roof that's going to last you 5 or 6 years. And there isn't any point in paying us to do something like that. We're accustomed to our roofs lasting 20, 30, 40 years,
Wow.
and would far rather pursue that and then do the regular maintenance on them that does make them last that long.
That's impressive in general, let alone in your area, which has harsh winters and plenty of snow and inclement weather and, sub-zero temperatures and things like that. That's an impressive service record.
We do get temperatures bouncing quite a bit. We'll hit 80 degrees during the day and may hit 35 at night. It's a shock for roofing materials to go through that kind of expansion and contraction,
Absolutely.
much less get hit by hail or things.
Oh, sure. Tell me about the last couple of years in COVID. I would think as people end up having to work at home and are stuck at home, spending much more time aware of what's really going on with the maintenance of their homes and their businesses, that you guys would be very busy. Excuse me. Tell me how the business has grown through COVID.
It was actually a very difficult couple of years during COVID for us, because being able to meet with your customers face to face, being able to go into office buildings up on roofs, so many people closed down and closed their offices for long enough they didn't even realize that they needed help up on their roofs. Or some of the leaks now that we're looking at have been 2 and 3 years old and people just didn't know. So it was really tough, but we managed to endure it and keep our people paid and keep our core crews functioning the best we could. And now we're back.
There you go. Nicely done. And what sort of companies do you work best with? I know you mentioned municipalities and companies and industrial companies.
We do well with consultants. We enjoy working with manufacturer supplied leads and things. We've got high enough standards on our roofs that literally everyone is happy with the product they end up with. But we would as soon do somebody's doghouse. We've got little antique stores that we enjoy. So doing all one big box store or things like that as a type of roof would not be challenging.
There you go.
So we enjoy, changing with the building codes, changing with the technologies, helping the manufacturers when they're developing new products. We quite often end up testing them for them or participating with them as they're developing them.
Excellent. Now, I would imagine that in 100 years, your reputation precedes itself, and that a lot of your work comes from word of mouth, but it's 2023 and it's a time where people look on the net for all their options and they need to know your story. How are you getting your story out there? How are you connecting with potential clients?
We have a marketing company that we work with. We send out electronic newsletters. While we're working on one building, we go to the old handshake type thing and go talk to the people that are next door to that, or 2 doors down, or 3 doors down. We run an occasional newspaper ad reminding people that we're here. It's marketing is an interesting game right now, or I don't know quite how to express it. It's hard to decide what is most effective.
Well, it's a very changing landscape, that's for sure.
It is.
All right. Fast forward 1 year. I imagine I know the answer involves a beach and a pina colada, but what's something you'd like to be celebrating 1 year from now, personally and professionally?
I would like to be working less and just participating on the financial side of things. I think I've got some good people here aligned for taking things over, but I will continue to be checking in. And people tell me they want me to stay. So I might wish for them to want to kick me out, but that hasn't happened so far. And really, I love all the people I work with, and I trust all the people I work with. People 30, 40 years ago used to have a very bad impression of who roofers were and how trustworthy they would be, those kind of things. And one thing I always told them was I was willing to bring my daughter to work with me and have her associate with any of our roofers. She was safe. She's, from the time she was 3 years old, she spent time with me at work, and she's grown up into a lovely young lady now. And I've just always appreciated all the people around us.
Hey, the sort of sustained success that your company has enjoyed is not an accident. That is a reflection of the culture you've created and nurtured around you, and I applaud you for that. What
Thank
is
you.
your company's URL? How can people find you? And what social media channels are you using these days?
We are on Facebook and Twitter. Our website is www.united-materials.com. And so we do have links on that website to contact us. We're always glad to have somebody just call or stop in and say hello. We have nice offices. I've tried to make them a good place because quite a lot of us spend a lot of time here. So we have artwork on the walls and appreciation medals, those kinds of things, pictures of roofs we've done. We've got a library upstairs that has our very first typewriter.
Wow.
We've got our very first brand new truck that we bought in 1942 during World War II. Doesn't run now, but we still have it out there. And I've been trying to find somebody to rebuild it, but I don't think that's going to happen. It may make a good planter out in front.
Well, Beth Gloss at United Materials, thank you so much for spending some time with us here on Business Ninjas. Again, I applaud your fortitude and the culture you've created around you, and I wish those who are carrying your torch forward the best of luck for the next 100 years.
Thank you very much.